What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Instagram, it's your boy RC9. You tuned into the RC9 interviews at 9 o'clock. And we got a special guest for y'all. Special guest. She should be in the room in a minute. But before she gets on here, I want you to do what you do best. Go to the bottom. You see the airplane. Share with your family, your friends, your co-workers, your associates, everybody in the place to be. Because it's going down tonight. We have the one and only, my good friend. Yes, she is here in the building. Here she is right now. Let's get in here. Listen, we got a lot of things to talk about. So before we bring in, go ahead and make sure you guys send your comments, your questions into that little question mark box at the bottom. And like I said, share with your family, friends, whatever. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about some good things, though. We got some history. So it's going to be a good interview tonight, y'all. Enjoy as we bring her in right now. Let's get it. Here we go.
Hello.
What's going on?
Excuse my appearance. I was at rehearsals today and just moving around. I'm not together, but
hey, that's all right. We got
I'm
this.
here.
We know you out in these streets putting in work.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the RC9 interviews. We have the one, the only. Listen, I call her Lele, but y'all may know her as AB or whatever you want to say. The place to be, Alasia Breezy. What's going on?
What's going on? Nothing much. I just like you said, just been working. It's been like a tornado of just work and just, creating, and just all around just getting my life together. Just getting it. We've always had conversations in the past about things mentally, you know what I mean?
Right.
Get yourself together mentally and protecting your energy, stuff like that. So I've been, it's a lot of, we could talk about it.
Right. So let's talk about it.
We could talk about it, but we gonna get into that, you know what I mean? Just let's get into it. But yeah, it's just a lot of work that's been happening, just a lot.
That's
a lot of growing.
So I want to say welcome to the RC9 interviews. You know, ain't no strange. Like you said, we always talk
right.
Family right here. So we're gonna get into it because you've been out here doing some major things. Like you do it. You a Jane of all trades. Let me say Jack, a Jane of all trades. You know what I'm saying? You out here with the choreography. You out here the dance and the model, and you a published model. Like you a host, a radio host, all kinds of hosts, podcasts. You know,
right.
you name it, she do it. She got it.
Right. It's all about, not limiting yourself. I've always been a person that has never limited myself to just one thing. I feel like as an artist, you're always growing, you're always learning new things about yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Things you've never known you could do. You get into things that you dropped as a child,
right. Come on.
Or you do things that you've never done in your life. You know what I mean? It just so happens to work out. But you always have to dibble and dab in everything that you do, and a lot of things may work out for you. A lot of them may not. But that's all about trusting the process. You know what I mean?
That's the process. So, and we definitely want to get into that. And I just want to just make a quick announcement, not to cut you off, for those who are coming in. Like I said, if you see that airplane at the bottom, go ahead and share with your family or friends to tune in because we have, I know you're going to drop some information for people. People don't know. Some people know you, some people don't know you. But those who are going to view it now and those who are going to view it when we offer here, they're going to find out who you are. And we're going to make it do what it do because we all out here supporting our own. Black entrepreneurs matter, Black creators matter, Black artists matter, everything Black. You know what I'm saying? All money in, no money out. Nipsey Hussle said it best. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so we got this platform here so we can highlight persons like yourself who are doing dynamic things in the industry and in the community at large. And if you can, for me, just introduce yourself real quick. I know you give a little bit who you are, but just tell me your name, where you from, and we're gonna get right into it.
Okay, well, my name is Alasia. I go by Lele, for those who do know me, for those who don't. Like you said, I'm a jack of all trades. I do a lot. When I first started off, it began with party promoting. I was a host. You know what I mean? Then I got into modeling, which landed me into a lot of publishing, into my first book cover. I've done a lot of blogs, stuff like that, magazines, online. Like you said, choreographer, dancer, mom, student.
She's at
I've
everything.
dibbled
You
and
name
dabbed.
it.
Yeah, I do hair. You know, it's just a lot. I've done radio.
Right.
You know,
Like it's
stuff
like
like that.
what don't you do? Like
Yeah,
okay, I know
yes.
you got a hat on right now, but how many what other hats at? Sis, what other
It's
hats
crazy
at?
because the crazy thing is that I just added a few more because this first visual that I actually dropped, Computer Love. You guys can
Oh
actually go
man,
check that out on YouTube.
listen, hold up. Let's rewind because we're gonna get into all of this because you know I got to get into this. You know, I
Yeah,
always love
but
that
the hat.
conversation. I always love that conversation. We have always so much good energy and creative vibes. Every time we speak, we just knock nuggets and knowledge on each other. But let's take them back before you got to where you at right now.
Right.
And going back, like who were you growing up?
Growing up,
the age of growing up?
I was a tomboy growing up. I still had the arts in me, you know, I danced and I sang. My dad had us a part of like a rap group when we were little called the Somebody Crew, you know what I'm saying? So I was always active in the arts. I always did something pertaining to music because my dad was a DJ,
Right.
you know, and my mom, she sings. So, you know, there was just always, we were always musically inclined. So I was just always around it. But I was a tomboy.
Right.
I have 2 sisters, 1 brother, and me and my brother stuck like glue. Everything my brother did, I wanted to do. So it was like I wasn't that prissy model type. I wasn't in my mom's makeup or my grandmother's, you know, perfume. It wasn't like that. I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to, you know, ride on the bikes with the pegs. You know what I mean? Like carry a Sony radio, play basketball, wear basketball shorts. You know what I mean? Wear ponytails. It was just like it was the total opposite. I'm the total opposite of what I am now, but I still danced. I've been dancing since the age of 4.
Wow,
So,
since 4.
Yeah, so that's just something that has always been in me. I've danced with my mom. When the box was out, you should know about the box.
Yeah. Yeah, the box.
So,
You tell your age now. Now you tell the box. The kids now be like the box. They know the box to be something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just like, you know, it goes way back then. So me and my mom have always just danced, and we've always been a family that has just been dancing everywhere. Like it didn't matter where we were, cookouts, didn't matter. But yeah, softball, basketball player. I did go to high school for vocal. I sang, but a lot of people thought I went to Rosa Parks High School in Patterson.
Oh yeah, I just had somebody in a previous interview to my Rosa Parks tell how that's such a talented school.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The best of the best is up in there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of talented people have come out of there. You know, Essence Carson, she has come out of there. She played the piano, but she went on to play in the WNBA.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's just like you never know where your life can take you, and you never know, you know, the path that people went on to get where they are. And everybody's passion is different. You know, she went to school for piano, but she's in the WNBA. You know, I went to school for singing, but my passion is dancing, basically inspiring people. You know what I mean? So
wow. So
it started off.
So being around like the creative people, like you said, your mom and dad, they were creatives and they all right, you know, had talents and gifts, which obviously, you know, DNA transferred over, got into you, mixed you all up. So now you're around these creative juices. You went to Rosa Parks, and around more creatives, which also help elevate your gifting and your skill set. Like, did you ever feel any kind of pressure? Did you always have liberty in your creativity and the things that you got into? Like, did your parents were they guiding you, like get in this and get in that, or did they just let you be and you just, you know, did what you want to do?
It was honestly half and half, I would say. Only say that because when I would ask to be a part of something, my mom was like totally down with it. It was no problem with it. But I know to go to my mom for that type of thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I would go to my dad because my dad was always busy, always working. You know, I kind of knew my dad at a young age. So it was like I knew my mom was more into understanding us, you
Right.
know. So I would go to my mom and she would be willing to put me in whatever. Oh, whatever you want to do. You know, oh, my daughter's on here. Hi, Janaya.
And she said, "Hi, moms." She's a beast in herself. She's a creative one too.
Yeah, absolutely. She's actually in the visual too, but we'll get into that later. But you know, my mom, like I said, my mom was just open to whatever we wanted to do as kids. You know, we wanted to play soccer. It didn't matter. But I was into softball and basketball. So I started playing both of those in the same grade. You know, and then my mom would always say, you know, she would hear me sing and she would be like, you know, oh, I heard such and such and such, just to pick my brain to see what I would say type of vibe.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just like, yeah, I would love to do that. Like, yeah. So it was like, I went to school 12 and I just knew I wanted to sing. I was like,
Right.
I want to sing. So I transferred and I went, my mother got me into, well, she actually got me an audition into the Performing Arts Academy, where I actually wound up going and graduating 8th grade from.
Wow. So how was that whole process? Like, you know, getting an audition to, I mean, for those who don't know and not familiar with the Performing Arts Academy schools, how is that whole process?
The whole process is nerve-wracking because a lot of people get nervous, so they don't really know what to do, what to expect. So a lot of people do the wrong things, like drink cold water before an audition. You're never supposed to drink cold water because that freezes your vocal cords. You know, you're never supposed to eat chocolate and stuff like that, you know, because it's not good at all. You know, it just restricts your vocal cords a little bit, builds like a little mucus there or whatever. That's why you hear people like a break in their voice. And it's nerve-wracking because you don't know what to expect. A lot of auditions go different. Like my audition for my grammar school was totally different from the audition at Rosa Parks High School. You know, it was from the music to how they sang, from singing flat to singing round, because in grammar school you don't really know how to sing, so you're just singing whatever. You're given the part and you're just singing, whereas in high school it was just like you have to sing rounder, you have to, you know, round your voice, you have to do it was just it was totally different. The process is just, it's nerve-wracking. I'm not even gonna and you sing all your life and you still get nervous.
So wait a minute. So when for grammar school, did you have did you have any idea how to prepare yourself for the audition?
I did not, because I was self-taught at that point. You know, it was just something I did. I knew that I could sing. So I just sang around the house. I would sing if people asked me to sing at like family reunions or something like that, like, let's just sing, you know, type of thing. But it was just that. It wasn't, I never was trained in music before that, ever. So I was just basically working off of my own ear, my own sound. And it took for me to actually go to school to know, like, you know, you got to really listen to yourself because you really sound crazy.
Wow. So now, so when you got into grammar school, when you got accepted and everything, so what was it like? Because I guess, so pretty much you've been in a gifted and talented school all your school life, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
pretty much.
Like you don't know anything other than being creative or being pushed to the limits of your creativity.
Right. It was just like, and then it never stopped. It was just crazy that you said that because it never really stopped. I went to school for it, and then I was on the band for East Side. I was a dancer.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? It was just like, I couldn't get away from it. Even if I tried, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was always people asking me to be in like a showcase. Oh, you want to dance for a showcase? You want to do this? You want to do that? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm down. Like I was in Danny House. If anybody knows what Danny House is, it's just like, it was so much to get into around that time. It was literally like not even enough time for me to really even focus on school like that, because I was so focused on the artist in me. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be everywhere and perform everywhere.
Wow,
so
that's really interesting. That it worked out like that. Because as a child, you know, you're more impressionable. You're able to, you know, that's when at a young age they groom you and prepare you, mold you, to set you up, you know, to be something dynamic and great. So now that you're an adult, you have had all this training from a little kid. So when trials and tribulations come your way, and when the pressure is on, you know how to handle it. I've been doing this my whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it never really gets easy. It's just a form of how do you deal with it? Because at different ages, you know, your anger and your energy is different, you know, so you kind of got to learn how to go around it kind of thing, you know, depending on the situation.
So you say, so at that age, you say your anger and energy is different. You said at a younger age.
Yeah, I was really angry.
Really?
In high school and grammar school, I was like really angry as a child. So that caused me to like lash out. That caused me to
what made you angry?
Hang with the wrong crowd, stuff like that. Now that I think about it, it was just the fact that, you know, my family wasn't really family oriented. Like my main family was, you know, but I would see everybody else with their cousins and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we were like that when we were like babies and stuff like that. But once we moved apart from each other, it was just like, we would see each other here and there, but it was like on like tragic occasions, like a funeral or, you know, an occasion where, you know, everybody's going to be like your grandmother's birthday party or a cookout or something like that. And then on top of that, it was the fact that my dad wasn't there. I was a daddy's girl growing up. You know, it wasn't a secret to anybody in my family. It wasn't a secret to my mom either, my sisters, my brother. And he wound up going to prison. You know what I mean? And we didn't understand it when we were little, you know what I mean? But I just knew my dad wasn't there. And I couldn't understand it when I was little. But growing up,
how old were you when he went to prison?
I believe I was five or six.
Wow.
I think, but you know, from being with my family all that time, and then my dad just, you know, boom, one night he just didn't come home. Like it literally happened just like that. Like he did not come home, and then my mother just brought us in the room and just, you know, told us he's not coming back, and we just lost it. You know what I mean? We were young. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what's going on. So I kind of internalized that, and I was lashing out because it was like I really couldn't say and do the things that I wanted to, because it was like, you know, at home things were kind of, you know, messing up because my dad wasn't there. My mom, she was taking care of 4 kids. You know what I mean? My mom is the rock. You get what I'm saying? It's like 2 jobs, 4 kids. She was doing it. You get what I'm saying? And then a part of me felt like, you know, I was isolated a little bit, because it kind of got, you know, weary on my mom a little bit, as it maybe would have been with just her raising 4 kids by herself, no help. You know what I mean? Like she was doing a great job, but she had to separate me from my sister because, you know, we weren't getting along at that point in time, because me and my older sister, both of our attitudes, like we kind of clash, you know. So my mom sent me to go live with her mom, my grandmother, for a little while, you know. So that kind of played a part in my attitude too, because it's like, you know, why would you isolate me? But when I got older, my mom, you know, she let me understand, and helped me understand rather, why she did what she did, because it was just heavy on her trying to maintain 2 jobs, take care of 4 kids, and it was just, you know.
Wow. So with the talents, you know, like you said, you were singing and dancing around this time. So was that like your form of release, to really help you release your anger?
Absolutely. It's like music would change everything for me. I don't care where it was, how it was. My mother always knew that I needed a CD player, MP3 player, something with music on it. You know what I mean? A radio, even if it was just, you know, the FM radio or something. You know, I had to have something with music. Like it just, I couldn't go without it, because it would really
one of your
easy.
go-to songs that you would listen to that like spoke to you during that time?
Oh my goodness. Honestly speaking, I've always loved Brandy. So anything that Brandy had out at that time, I fell in love with. It was Brandy and like anything Brandy, Whitney Houston, or Mariah Carey.
Brandy, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey.
Anything they put out, I was listening to. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? It was just anything they put out at that time was just a vibe. And it was just, it spoke to you. The singing for me was more like the passion behind their words is really what got to me, what really spoke to me, you know, depending on what they were singing about, stuff like that. So Yeah, that's what did it for me.
That's amazing. And so, you know, now like your obviously your mom and dad were not together. Your father was locked up. So it was tough. A lot of pressure was on your mom to, you know, support. You said 4 children, right?
Yeah.
It was 4 of y'all she had to hold down. So how did your siblings respond to that? Like, you know, did you guys get in a lot of trouble, even though you had those outlets?
I mean, we got in trouble, but you know, not as any other child. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, we were kids. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, we played tag with the other neighbors. We got into fights with the neighbors' kids. You get what I'm saying? Like, we got caught cursing type of thing. You know what I mean? It was just, you know, regular stuff. It wasn't like out of the ordinary. It wasn't like we spiraled out of control type of thing. It wasn't that type of situation. None of us ever went to jail as a child. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't that kind of thing. It was just anger issues, you know, with me.
Right.
And I'm the middle child. So it's just like,
they said that middle child complex. They always said that. Is that a real story? That's a true story?
I don't know if it is, but
it.
I hear it too, but I don't know. I really don't know. I could not answer that for you. But it seems like it's true. It seems like it's true to me. I don't know.
So,
but
one of the questions I always have, you know, people who raised up in single parent homes, or you know, I know it affects people in different ways, but I'm always interested in the parents who remain that are active in their children's lives and doing what they have to do to support their family. What are some things? I know, you know, like you said, your father got locked up when you were around 5 years old. So what are some things that either your mom or other close relatives had instilled into you, principle wise, that helped you to cope with what you were going through, and you know, you know?
Honestly speaking, like I said, around that time, my family I didn't really know my family. You know what I mean? Like, I knew them, but when that happened, it was just like a separation happened. So it's just like we didn't really speak to one another. And I was young, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like I had to mind my business anyway. So wherever my mother went or wherever I went, you know, my grandmother at the time when I was with my grandmother, I just had to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was in church in the mosque from a young age. My mom and my dad were God body and transitioned over to Islam before they had kids. You know what I mean? So I was raised in a Muslim home. When I lived with my grandmother, I went to church, and she's Christian. She was Christian. So it's just, you know, I've always had that book guidance on both sides. That music and, you know, the teachings from my mom and my dad. You know, my dad would have his spare the moments where, you know, he wouldn't deliver it in the nicest ways, you know, but he would give us a message, you know, and just let us know, you know, how the world is, how the world will be, how it will always be, how people will be, how situations, how to get out of situations, how to control yourself in situations, how to, you know, just certain things. And at the time, our father speaking to us, we didn't even know that our dad was a street dude. We didn't know that. You get what I'm saying? Like, we didn't know that. We just like, oh, our dad is teaching us stuff and da-da-da. But then being young, we're like, well, why is daddy yelling?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but it's just like, you know, the passion behind what he actually stood for and believed in. I think that's where, that's what it was for me. The passion behind everything that everybody around me did. You get what I'm saying? I was able to kind of depict my own like stuff out of it. I was, and I kind of delivered it in my own way. Because even though I didn't do exactly what they told me to do, it was like when situations came up that would make me think, I would be like, oh man, my dad said that, or oh man, my grandmother used to always say, or oh man, somebody, you know. So it's always, I always just pay attention. It was just always paying attention for me, no matter who I was around. I learned from anybody that I was around. So that's why when people say who's really an inspiration to you, sometimes I really didn't have an answer, because it was like so many things inspired me. You get what I'm saying? Like, to be around so many energies. And I understood that at a young age. You know what I'm saying? And I just had to learn how to make it my own. And I'm learning that now. You know what I'm saying? So
So
Yeah.
how, like, when did your how long was your father locked up? Because it, sound like imparted a lot of things into you and a lot of influence.
I want to say 4. He did 4 years and 2 years in the halfway house.
Okay.
A year and a half or something like that. So like 5.5, 6 years, something like that.
So when he came home, being away from his family so long, you being away from that, like you said, you were a daddy's girl. So when
but we always saw him though. So it was just like we always saw him. Like we traveled all the time to go see him.
Okay, nice.
And stuff like that. So when he went to the halfway house, it was just like ball game. He was home all the time.
Okay. So he was very much, even being locked up, he was very much present in your life. Which
yeah. Very much
gave you
so.
those nuggets for life.
Yeah, very much
even
so.
in circumstance. So, growing up, I guess, so even with that, would you say or not say you didn't have any daddy issues? Like most people,
I'm not going to say there was daddy issues. It was just the way he delivered things. You know what I mean? It wasn't, I didn't really understand why he would deliver things the way that he delivered them. You get what I'm saying?
Now, what do you mean by that when you say deliver? How would he deliver?
A little harsh. You know what I mean? Not the way you should deliver things to a child, shall we say.
I
don't want to really,
stern,
very strict. He was Capricorn.
Okay.
Birthday January 2nd. You know what I mean? Real.
You said you already know.
Real straight to the point. I said what I said, and so it was just he was the sergeant.
Right.
Gotcha. You know what I mean? And it was just like, don't get daddy upset. Don't let daddy come up here. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it was just like, yeah, better stop making so much noise. Daddy gonna come up here. But it was also.
But look, was he the father that as you start becoming into a young lady and teens and going off to Rosa Parks, was he the dad like with the shotgun? Like, this is my daughter.
Yeah, he was like that, but he wasn't on top of me like that. You know what I mean? Because my dad kind of like had his own life. So it was like, yeah, when he saw me, it was like, that's my daughter or whatever. Yeah, he was all about that. You get what I'm saying? But he kind of let me do whatever. You know what I mean? Like, not whatever I wanted to do. Let's get that.
Let's get that right.
Yeah. Not whatever I wanted to do, because anybody knew I couldn't even really have company over. It was like that. Like, nah, my dad home. Or hold on, let me see if my dad home. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because if the house wasn't clean, he's embarrassing me. Or whoever's in the house. Why isn't this clean? Why isn't that clean? You know what I mean? It was just like that kind of household for us. We really couldn't stay by people's house. You know what I mean? Unless it was our family, our cousin. It wasn't that kind of situation for us. So I grew up totally different, whereas a lot of other people had a lot of more freedom, than I did.
Nice.
So, like I said, it was just more of, why do you have to speak to us like this? We're your kids. We're not,
Right.
He spoke, let me just say it like this. He spoke at us instead of speaking to us.
I got it. Yeah. It was like the old school teaching. Some parents say, "Back, you do what I say do. You do what I do, not as I do what I say, not as I do." That's what it is.
Okay.
Do what
exactly.
I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
That's what it is. That's a lot of ways. And I see as time going on, things are changing like that with the kids. I think parents are becoming more open and transparent with their kids because of the times that we're in currently. One of the things now. So let's go back. Rosa Parks. So you. Pretty gifted and talented school. You did your thing there. You said you had to audition for that school as well, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
And you went in there also for singing, or was it dancing? Okay,
no,
singing. Well. Okay. So what are you, a soprano, alto? What are you?
I was a first soprano, actually.
Okay, check you out. So when you went to that school, so you said it was 2 different styles, from grammar school audition to this school. What was it like audition at Rosa Parks?
The teacher at Rosa Parks at the time, Miss Norma Jean Williams, kudos to her. She was very, very strict. Like, she did not like boasters, shall we say. You know what I mean? She could smell that from a mile away, and she would break you down.
Right.
Like that. You hear me? Like she played no games. So as soon as you walk in there, you knew she was about business. She had a little short, little pixie cut, you know, a nice little petite, you know, but she had that face on, like, you know, come in here and do what you need to do.
Right.
And everybody knew, don't mess with Miss Williams. You get what I'm saying?
Don't
So
mess with Miss Williams.
exactly, like even entering the room, like it was a whole nother energy than the energy that was in grammar school, because Dr. Nadio, my grammar school principal and instructor, she was more bubbly, you know, Caucasian woman. She was more bubbly. Whereas Miss Williams, African American woman, you know what I mean? She was at Rosa Parks since the second year they opened. So this had been, you know, this had been.
She was an OG at the school. She said,
you know what I mean?
She ain't taking no shorts. She said, y'all coming up in here, y'all coming correct.
You know what I mean? And but she understood her value and her worth. You know what I mean? So she was not taking less than that. You get what I'm saying? So if you came in her, we went in a soundproof room, and you know, she just had you sing. And when she heard something that was off, she stopped you.
Wow.
And she would say, do it over again, but then sing like this. You know what I mean? She would give you pointers on how she would want you to sing to see if you could, you know, do what she needed you to do. And that's really all the audition was to see if you could take direction. She would play little notes on the piano to see if you can, you know, follow the notes. You had to actually sing the note that she was playing. You know what I mean? Like whatever note it was, you know, from the beginning of the piano to the end.
So Ms. Williams, like, what did you take away from her, and as far as to help you on your adult career? Because I know, like you said, you had the you know, the direction of militant style from your dad, then you got the Rosa Parks, and you got it from her. So, what kind of discipline had that instilled into you as an adult?
Structure. Poise.
Wow. Boy, shout out to Terry Comm Music. She's a dynamic singer, and she's a music teacher as well. So she's checking in. Terry, New York.
Hi. Yeah. So structure, attentiveness. You know what I mean? Like, because Miss Williams was a person, like, if you didn't listen, I'm talking about in the middle of a performance, while we're singing, if she did this, like this, but she's still doing this, you knew you have to walk off and sit down while we're still singing. She was that kind of militant. She did not play around. Like in a choir full of like 60 people, she could implicate one bad voice and know who it was.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like her ear was impeccable.
She had to make people cry.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. We had tests early in the morning. We had vocal 7:30 in the morning. Our first class was at 7:37. The bell rang 7:37. You were late if you were not in that class. And that was our majors in the morning. So if she felt like we weren't ready for something, pop-up test, put your books away. 1 soprano, 1 alto, 1 tenor, 1 bass. Give it to me. 4 people stand up. And she's recording you as you're singing, just one of each section. You know what I mean? So it was just like, she taught us how to be on our feet. The importance of practicing, the importance of listening.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it was just everything.
So even at that age, you were like a lot of different skills and a lot of things that you using now in life were developed during that time. And
absolutely.
Many of y'all didn't even though you was in the Rosa Parks Gifted Talented School of Performing Arts, you probably didn't realize the value that what y'all were getting at that time.
No. And also she made us understand the value of time and place. Because we would go places, you know, they went on tour in Atlanta, you know, they sang backup, the choir sang backup for Patti LaBelle, you know, so it was just like so many instances where we had to act right. You know what I mean? So she taught us how to act, basically. It's like, but we're teenagers, and even when we used to go to different high schools, you know, high schools travel. So when we used to go to different high schools, it's just like we're seeing all these other high schoolers, they're having fun. They're talking to each other. They're laughing. We can't do any of that. Wow. We're like zip, zip, zip. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about, you can hear a pin drop over by where we're sitting. You know what I mean? Because she just did not play that. It was just like, you're not going to embarrass me or yourselves. You're going to sit here like young adults that you are. Etiquette. You know what I mean? Like etiquette. Exactly. Etiquette. She taught us etiquette at a very, very young age. It was like, even down to how we dressed. We were in tuxedo dresses and tuxedo shirts with cummerbunds. Nobody don't even know what that is.
Now wait a minute, Rosa Parks, was it a boys and girls school?
Yes, it's unisex. It's a
Unisex.
performing arts high school.
Wow.
So they have the majors that they offer is vocal music, piano, violin, instrumental, fine art and commercial art, creative writing, dance, and drama.
Wow. You got the whole curriculum down. Man, that is amazing. That is amazing that you had that kind of training, had that kind of exposure at such a young age. So, having all this instilled into you and ingrained in you, cemented to you as a kid, it really sets you up for success. So after Rosa Parks, after all was said and done, and you graduated from there, what was life like for you after Rosa Parks? What did you do after that?
Well, I got pregnant my senior year of high school.
Okay.
So fast forwarding, after high school, it was just like I felt like everything was doomed because I had this child. I'm 18. I don't really know what I'm doing. You find out and you study about these things in health in school, but it's nothing like the real thing. Right. We had a baby in school and it was just like, it's nothing like having one of your own, but it was just, so, it's just like, it's a totally different experience. So, I kind of gave up on a lot of things, and my direction changed. I wanted to be a music therapist, coming out of high school, and I wound up going to school for cosmetology. I went to Capri in Clifton, so my whole direction changed.
Wait, how did that happen? Because I know people growing up, you said you were more like a tomboy.
Yeah, but I did hair too.
Right. So you made that switch from the whole music to, let me go to cosmetology school.
Yeah, because the crazy part is that going backwards, I used to braid like my hair when I was little, and I actually started braiding my own hair, like braiding it, like I'm talking about cornrows at the age of 14. And after that, it was ball game. I was braiding my hair every chance I got. Nobody could touch my hair. It was like I'm doing Iverson braids. I'm doing all kind of crazy braids, zigzags, and it's just, box braids. I box braided my hair 2 weeks before I gave birth to my daughter. Like, it was just, so I was always into that, always into doing hair. I braided, my friend's hair, my brother's hair when he had hair. So I was always into that. So after high school, I kind of was like, I have this child. And like I said, I kind of got down on myself and I was like, okay, well, I have hair. I know how to do hair. So let me just get my license for that because I already have most of it down. I knew how to do sew-ins. I knew how to braid. I knew how to do all that stuff, ponytails, stuff like that. So it was just like, let me just go and get further teaching in it and go from there. But
so at that point, when you graduated, you said you got pregnant. You said your senior year, right?
Yes.
So you got pregnant your senior year. What were your goals and ambitions for like the long term prior to you getting pregnant?
I wanted to be a music therapist.
Oh, you did say you want to be a music therapist.
Yeah, I wanted to be a music therapist.
When you became pregnant with the child, how did that set you back? Were you disappointed in yourself? Did you feel
a little bit?
Like you left your
I was
down?
I was because I allowed myself to get caught up in thinking of family because I was pregnant, you know what I mean? Because that's what you're taught, when you're having a baby, you got to start a family, So it was like I was more focused on that as opposed to the other stuff because I'm like, I got to be a mom now. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, I really don't have time for the other stuff. But that was just, my young thinking at the time. Right. And then, me just being into her dad at the time or whatever, and, being young and stupid and chasing a dream. Right. Basically.
So how was that whole challenge, being a young mom, and the dad was still in your life at that time?
Yeah.
So how was that? How did he take the news when he found out, like, hey, about to have a kid?
When he found out?
Right.
Oh, he was ecstatic.
Oh, okay.
He was ecstatic about it. I'm distraught, crying. I don't want to tell my father. I was scared to tell my father. You hear me? Right. I was petrified. Like, it was like the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. Like, that's how I felt in the moment. Wow. I'm not even going to lie to you. Not going to lie to you at all. But, you know,
how did you overcome that? How did you overcome that emotional?
Because my dad wasn't as mad as I thought. Because my
Mm,
dad, he kind of told me, he was like, I knew you were pregnant. He said it to me. He was like, I knew you were pregnant. And I was just like, what? He was like, so it's not a shock to me. So he was just kind of like cool with
wow.
it, you know? So that kind of put me at ease a little bit. So when I told my
Mm,
mom, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal, you know? So everybody was just like cool, calm, and collective. So
right.
it was cool.
So
It
you had the
wasn't
support. You
bad.
kind of
Yeah.
had the support behind you.
Absolutely.
Which makes a big difference because you know you hear a lot of stories where people come out and to their parents and like, well, I'm pregnant and they still in school. I'm like, what the you and
Yeah.
crazy like going off like get out my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't like that. So that made
No.
a world of difference for you that you
Mm-hmm.
had understanding parents. Even though they
Right.
may not have been totally on board with it, there's nothing they could do about it.
Right.
They were there with you to help you
Mm-hmm.
through this process, which helped
Right.
you, to develop into the mother you are
Right.
today and the person that
Mm-hmm.
you are. So that's a nugget for people out there. Those who out there who have kids young and it may happen to you. So the great takeaway is to be mindful that the decisions you make with your child can affect them for the good or the
Right.
bad. So,
Right.
so now you have a kid. So
Mm.
and you're doing you're doing hair. So work wise, what are you doing work wise? Other than you just doing straight hair?
Yeah, I was just doing that at the time because I was only 18, 19 at the time when I got into hair school. My daughter was a couple months old. She wasn't even a year yet. So it was just and then I was going through things with her dad. So it was just like a crazy, 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 crazy time. Like
Mm-hmm.
a crazy time. And it was definitely a trying time. Because like I said, I was young. So I kind of got rebellious a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not doing the things that I should have been doing,
Right.
falling on certain responsibilities, you know what I'm saying? But that came with the fact that, I had support from her dad, you know what I mean? He was
Right.
always willing to just have her. He was always willing to just like
Mm.
take her, stuff like that. So it was just like, okay. But then it was also a feeling of me like, okay, well, you messed up this family and you forced me to have her. And if you want her, you know what I mean? Like, you want to have her today, you can have her today, type of thing. You know what I mean? But that was me being young and angry.
Right. Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
But I had to learn how to. Me and him had to learn how to work together. So
Wow.
present day, we're the best of friends because we started off as best friends.
Wow. Y'all was
Before I
close
even had her.
friends.
No, for real, we were though. That's the crazy part. Before I
So
even got
how did
pregnant,
y'all get to
everything.
that point? Because
It
we
took an
always hear about baby
understanding.
daddy drama, baby mama drama. Did
It
you
took an
guys?
understanding. It took an understanding. He had to literally be in my world. You know what I mean? He had to be out of my world to be in my world. And what I mean by that is that, he left me when before a month after I had my daughter. He wound up being with another girl. He was with her a couple of months before I even had my daughter. Long story short, and he was always with girls after that. So it always became a thing where it was like he was always with other women, but he would try to be with me too. And I was just like, no, I'm good. But he couldn't understand that. You know what I mean? He was just like, no, because you're still my family. And I'm just like, yeah, but I have my own thing going on. So he had to understand. He basically had to understand that, I have my own things going on. I can't do what you want me to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yes, we're her parents, but I'm not your girl. You know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So,
He's like either we going co-parent or no.
yeah, exactly. And he couldn't understand um where things were at the time with my
Right.
anger, with my mental. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't all together mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the people that I was hanging around, the things that I was doing, the things that I was getting into, you know what I mean? Hanging out every weekend, you get what I'm saying? Like it was just bad for me, but I felt like that was me kind of burying how I really felt, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to have that around my child.
Right.
So it was like, I don't want to have my child around me as much as possible because I don't want to inflict this energy on her. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or I don't want to have my daughter somewhere where she should not be because I'm her mother. You know what I mean? That was my thinking around the time, not understanding that I'm also, you know, causing a wedge between me and her. You know what I mean? At that young age. So, you know, it took growing. You know what I mean? It just took for me to grow. It took for him to grow. It took for me to grow and, you know, pick up, you know, my responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? I never was out of her life. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been in her life. It was just, you know, I always dropped her off by her dad's type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't with my friends. Like, it was never that situation. You know what I'm saying?
So she grew up. So your daughter grew up basically having her dad in her life and her mom in her life. So
absolutely,
she didn't skip a beat in regards to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what I mean? And like I said, my dad was like, you know, very, very verbally abusive. So at a point, my daughter, you know, voiced to me, you know, I don't really want to be around because, you know, I'm scared of pop. You know, those were her words. And I think she was like 9 at the time. So that just was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It was like, damn, like I can't really do that to her. You know what I'm saying? So it caused me to have her with her dad longer. You know what I mean? And it was just like, damn, but she'll understand. She started to understand a little bit, you know, because her mental is just like on another level. But I had to do it. I didn't want to. But me and her dad lived around the corner from each other, so it worked out. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it kind of worked out.
Wow. So when she was going through that, it kind of brought you back to when you were younger. You remember how your dad was. He was like, you know what? I don't want that to be on her, so we're going to circumvent this and you know, get a situation. And so now, you know, you're a young mother at that time. You know, y'all learning your ways. Y'all wound up, you and her father mended, got an understanding, and now, like you say, y'all like, you know, cool and, you know, co-parenting is like just going smooth sailing. So now, at this point in your life, how old is your daughter now?
She's 14 now.
She's 14 now. She's a whole teenager now.
Yes.
She's a whole
Absolutely.
teenager right now. So now you're at this point in your life, and it seems like everything you've been through, you always had the gifts and talents in you, but you never allowed things to stop you, hinder you to continue to, you know, do what was in you and bring it out and just to be a blessing to people around you. So now you know, when did you? I know we met. For those who know how we met 2016 on, you know, modeling, me as a photographer, as a model, and, you know, we collaborate. We linked up the first time. I think actually, I don't know if we actually officially met at the time, but it was during the RGF a cookout they had going on. It was a cookout they had in Washington Township somewhere. They had a video shoot going on and everything else. What's the name?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but I think the first shoot I did with you.
I have a picture of you because I was there with Next Level Magazine shooting one of their shooters. But I'm gonna see you that picture because I got the picture of you in London sitting at the table.
You got to send me that.
Yes.
Because I remember our first photo shoot was on the rooftop.
Yes, definitely on the rooftop in Plainfield, New Jersey. We was on top of the Y. We climbed the fire escape. It was hot as I don't know what.
Oh my gosh, it was very hot.
We was on the top of the roof of the Y in Plainfield, New Jersey. We got it in, and from there we've been doing. Look, that was the hottest shoot ever, and we did that cold shoot we did it below.
Right. Oh my God.
Like
I was just telling somebody about that shoot. I was like, yo, I did a shoot. It was so cold. I said I was getting cold. I said the photographer's camera froze. Yes. I said we had to go in the 7-Eleven. Nobody believes me when I tell them that those pictures were taken in the 7-Eleven.
Yes.
Like nobody.
It was one of the coldest days that winter. And you was out there with something you had on right now, all bare skin, everything. I mean, she was out. She was the truth. I said, you know what? Ain't nothing topping this. I don't care what shoot I do. Ain't nothing topping this night ever. I ain't never repeat that night again. I tell you that.
Yeah, it was cold. It was very cold. Very cold.
It was definitely cold. So we you know, met on that creative tip, and we been you know, linked up ever since. So how did you get into the whole modeling aspect?
That just came from me being into sports and always being bigger in my life. I was actually bullied. growing up. You know what I mean? Because I was always shorter than everybody. So, you know, I had a little weight to me and stuff like that. So, and then my nose is a little longer than usual. So people will call me Pinocchio and stuff like that. So it was just like, you
Not
know,
Pinocchio.
yeah, it was crazy. But,
Right.
you know, long story short, like I said, I was bullied. So around like my junior year or whatever, and then after high school, you know, I kind of got into my body a little more. You know what I mean? Like,
Look, she started
people were
popping out,
asking me,
literally.
right? I always had a fashion sense to me. You know what I mean? So I always knew how to dress. You know, everybody was like, I was wearing heels since the age of 15. You know, that's just something that I do to this day. I love me a heel, love it. So that was always something that I had. And then people just got me into it. They were like, "You're so pretty," and people used to ask me, "Did I model?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And then, you know, people just constantly just always asking and always just telling me, "You should get into modeling, or do you model?" And all your pictures, they're so pretty. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay, you know, maybe I can do this. But I wasn't a makeup type of person, you know?
Okay.
So it was just like I had to get into all that stuff, the lashes and stuff. I wasn't into that at all.
Wow.
So I believe I had my first official photo shoot with makeup and the hair and stuff like that. 2010, I want to say. My very first photo shoot with, you know, the lashes, the makeup, the
Wow.
designer outfits, stuff like that, scenery. It was, you know, that type of feel. So ever since then, it was just me, you know, perfecting it ever since then. It took a while for me to really get into it because I really got into modeling, I'd say, seriously, maybe I'd say 4 years ago or 5 years ago, something like that. I can honestly say I took it serious, you know, just, you know, always having, you know, a booking or something like
Right.
that. So, you know, modeling actually got me into hosting. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I did Music Monday videos.
Right.
You know, I was
Ooh, we got a little glitch here. I don't know what's going on, y'all. Can y'all still hear us? Microphone check 1 2.
I don't know what that was.
Okay, there we go.
Good. So like I said, you know, that's what got me into the hosting. That booked me a lot of gigs. You know, I did Albie Al's you know, concert he did in Jersey. It landed me Drewski's opening of his movement space. I covered that. I did a lot of interviews for that. I did interviews at DJ Drewski's Who's Next New Jersey edition in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So I've been thankful to get into a lot of other things from modeling,
Okay.
you know. So I've been thankful to do that. And then from there, just the radio. I've done nonfiction radio. I've done radio in New York, Brooklyn, Queens, you know. So it just
You've been
landed me a
all
lot
over.
of
You've been getting it.
yeah, it just landed me a lot of I've done Fashion Week 2017 and 18.
Wow.
So, you know, it's just I've done Philly Fashion Week. You know, it's just
So you're a very marketable person. It seems like what do you think is the most the defining thing or that common thing that people see in you that want to book you or have you a part of their radio show or showcase or whatever? What do you think it is that people commonly say?
I think it's well, from everybody, they just say, you know, my vibe, my energy, you know, it's an aura. You know, you can't fake real.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't fake genuineness. You can't
Right.
fake that, you know,
The energy don't
especially
lie.
exactly, especially somebody who knows how to read it. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can depict fake energy. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So it's all about that for me. I just think that people dig my personality. It's just a energy thing, you
Wow.
know.
So how do you manage like everything that you like? Once again, you just rambled off like a couple of things already, but how do you manage everything that you do? So I know you had said did your first photo shoot at 10 years old, so that would put your daughter to be 4 years old around that. I mean, 10 years ago, the daughter 4 years old. So how were you able to get into that, be a mother, you know, still provide and do all those things? How did you manage?
It was hard, so I really didn't do it as much. You know, I would just do it when I felt like it. You get what I'm saying? It was because, like I said, I didn't really take it that serious. So it was just like, oh, okay, well, and then it was a thing where I didn't trust too many people. So it was like, do I reach out to the photographer or do I wait for them to reach out to me? You get what I'm saying? So it was just like, I really didn't know what to do. So it wasn't really hard to really juggle it. It was just hard to juggle it when, you know, I really, really wanted to do something and something else would pop up. You know what I mean? Where I had to go and stuff like that. It was just like, dang it, you know, but it's all a part of the process. Stuff happens. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, but that's also a time where I think to myself, like, that was Allah redirected me. You get what I'm saying? Like, you didn't need to be there. You get what I'm saying? Or you didn't need to do that. You get what I'm saying? Or it's not your time. It's not your moment. You get what I'm saying?
Like that divine intervention.
You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, take heed to it.
Right.
But, you know, I didn't listen, and I got into a lot of sticky situations where it was like, I've met creep photographers. I've met weirdo photographers. I've met all type of photographers. I've, you know, the ones that made me feel like ill. Like, I don't even want to, all right, we can stop. You get what I'm saying? Whereas with you, you know what I mean? I feel as comfortable as ever. You know what I mean? You create an environment. Right. You know what I mean? So, you know, I've worked with so many different types, and, you know, it's just different. It's just been different every step of the way.
You can write a whole book in itself about that.
Man, oh man.
It'll be the bestseller, I promise.
For real. Because, man, it's some creeps out here, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I hear stories all the time about it. And it's alarming, the amount of stories you hear. People take their gift and take the camera and hide behind their creepiness. You know, it's a way to mask themselves to fulfill their sick desires.
Yeah.
Or misguided desires.
Disgusting.
So, so you're into the whole we're talking about the model scene. So you're in the model scene. You're getting booked. Like, you're doing your thing. What is your style of modeling? Like, what would you classify yourself?
I really started modeling because of Vogue, because of House. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, voguing. I love Vogue. I love it. I love being in the presence of the house scene. You know what I mean? The ballroom scene, as they call it. Right. You know, and that's where I got my start with modeling. You know, my god sisters and all of us, we used to go around, and they were actually in a house. Is called the house of oh my gosh, how can I forget that? How could I forget that?
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, it will definitely come back to me. But they were in a house, and, you know, seeing them practice, doing their productions and stuff like that, getting ready for a competition or something like that, it was just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And then I would actually be in the presence, and I would be at these balls, and it's just like, oh wow, this is what they do. So I would just, you know, implicate it. You know what I'm saying? Just walk. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's the shoulders, it's the, you know, it's the hips, it's the, so I really like that kind of freelance runway. I really love it. I do love straight runway too, you know, so I'm not shun away from like Paris runway and, you know, like just like, you know, straight runway, but I do love a production. I love it because you can incorporate dance.
You just like to perform.
Yeah, I love it. I love the performance part of it. You know, you can twirl, you can dip, you can, you know, you can be as creative as you want to in the ballroom scene. And for the runway, you can definitely do it because it's like you can implicate face, you can do hands, you can, you know, you can just do anything on the runway, and it's like, it's dope. I just love it. I love the energy, the crowd, the music. It's just everything for me.
Wow, that's amazing. So what we're gonna do, like real quick, we're gonna sign off and come back on because about the 1 hour mark is approaching us, and we're gonna get into the whole dance scene. You as a dancer and choreographer and producer and all of that stuff. So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna come back on. Everybody who's listening and watching right now, give us about 2 minutes because I'm gonna upload this, and we're gonna be right back on. Okay. All right. So we'll see you back in 2 minutes.
All right.